Hello, my name is Christina Liu, and I'm here to talk to you about gambling and interior design. So, people love gambling, and art. So, people love gambling, people love games of chance, and it's not a new thing. We've loved it forever, and we love it so much, and we also love dogs so much, that we decide to make pictures of dogs playing poker. And the name of the artist of this photo, I shit you not, is named Cash Coolidge. So, yeah, Cash Money Coolidge. So a lot of casino games actually have roots from old-timey, ancient times. You'll be surprised to know that. So let's talk about one element of casino games, which is playing cards, which I'm sure everyone here has played. So the one on the right side is the Ace of Spades. We've all seen it. And the one on the left side is an example of a Ming Dynasty face card from 1400 AD. So it turns out that playing cards were most likely invented in China during the Tang Dynasty at about 9 AD. Now, the history of playing cards involves Chinese princesses and drinking games, but unfortunately, I ain't got time for that. It's a good talk on its own. Yeah. The one that I do have time for is a game called Keno. It is also known as Chinese lottery. It is a game that modern casinos still play. Actually, California has its own version called Hotspot, which you can play. And this game of Keno started at about the 3rd century BCE. Hella old. So the game originally started from the Song Dynasty poem named 1,000-Character Classic. Essentially, this poem is a 1,000-word poem where each word only occurs one time in the entire poem. Yeah. Actually, they used to teach school children this, so imagine being a school child having to memorize this 1,000-word poem. Yeah. So for this particular game of Chinese lottery, it's the first 80 characters of the poem that is used for this particular lottery. Essentially, you would get a slip, it had 80 characters on it, you'd mark out what you think were the winners, and you would submit that back to the ticket office. Now, for the ticket office, they would receive the winning characters from the main offices via pigeons. Yeah, so for these people, their lucky number came literally by carrier pigeons. Yeah. And because of these pigeons, this game is known, and was called White Dove Tickets, or in Chinese, the name is Baka Piu. And the name of Keno is actually a French name. And this game, colloquially, is still known as Baka Piu in the States and everywhere else. So this game goes from China to San Francisco during the gold rush. Yeah. And this is an example of a Keno slip from the early 1900s. And you can tell it's a Keno slip from the early 1900s because the jackpot is only about 3 bands big. And it really is back in the olden times when 3 bands was big money. So this game got super popular amongst the non-Chinese folks. And they basically substituted out the Chinese characters for Arabic numerals to make it easier for folks that didn't know how to read Chinese to play. Now, the legalization of the game of Keno and the name change, it involves horse racing and racism, but unfortunately, I ain't got time for that. It's a different talk. Yeah. So now gambling, back in the olden day, and same here, it was a form of socialization. It still is, and especially back during old-timey days when you're a Chinese dude that just moved here and your family isn't here. But this game is, a reminder of home. It's a way to pass the time. And it's also a way to win some cash money. So the motivation to become rich or prosperous is not a bad thing. Actually, the Chinese New Year greeting of Gong Hei Fa Choi, it doesn't mean Happy New Year. It literally translates to happiness and prosperity. So folks may have seen these like door decorations around the New Year's, these red banners, and they usually come up around, New Year's. And usually they have well wishes for what type of things you want to channel for the new year. A lot of times it's things around happiness and health, but the most popular is always success and fortune. I see you there. Now, and fortune is so popular that if you look on the middle of the door, that character is the character of Fuk, which means luck. And some people just say Fuk it and put only that, which is what I do around New Year's. Now, fortune is such a strong motivator that we have an entire god devoted to fortune. His name is Choi San, and he is one of the most popular Chinese gods in the entire pantheon. Like, literally, pop songs are made about this particular god, and it is played endlessly on loop during the Lunar New Year. Now, luck in this regards is just and it's seen as a type of energy or chi that we can and want to manipulate for our benefit. And the way to do that is through feng shui. So feng shui, literally translated, means wind and water. And it is essentially arranging and building your physical space to harness chi or energy to bring you what you want. And of course, the most popular is fortune and luck. Now, the history itself of feng shui is thousands of years old, so I ain't got time for that. But it was extremely important to the long dead emperors, and also extremely important to regular folks in the modern day. And and everything in your physical space, especially if you're Chinese, must have good feng shui. And this applies to things like interior design. So what lamp you have, where you put the plant, what colors are your walls, which way does your front door face the sun, and much, much more. And if you think Christmas decoration wars between neighbors are intense, oh man, feng shui wars between businesses are super, super intense. So what usually happens is one business decides that their sales have gone down because it's bad feng shui coming at them, so they'll put up something small like a talisman to deflect the bad feng shui, or the bad qi. Now, unfortunately, because we live in a system of, well, not unfortunately, but we live in a system of grids. So when you deflect your bad energy, you are sending that energy to your neighbor. And if that neighbor is Chinese, they're not going to take kindly to that. So they then set up something else to deflect the energy away from them back to you. And every time you set up mirrors to deflect energy, it also amplifies the bad energy. So then you see this ever-escalating game of feng shui chicken. And so it starts out small, like something like talismans, and it can escalate into something like buildings built with holes in the middle of them, because the concept is that you are letting the bad qi pass through the building rather than slamming into the building. Now, the principles of good feng shui not only apply to the living, it also applies to the dead. Your graves must be placed in places of good feng shui, or else your ancestors will haunt the ever-loving shit out of you and cause you misfortune. So even though luck and gambling is so socially ingrained in a Chinese culture, it's actually illegal to gamble for money in China. And it's been illegal since 1949, and casinos have been illegal since 1935. Now, people are still allowed to play games of chance for non-currency things like poker chips, and there's like a few lotteries that are illegal. But man, people love gambling. So what happened is gambling tourism has flourished internationally in places like Macau and closer to home, Las Vegas. So in about the 90s, Sin City took notice of this growing demographic of Chinese gamblers, and now Vegas welcomes Chinese gamblers with literal red carpets, especially around the Lunar New Year. So this is one of the ginormous displays that the Bellagio set up for this year, 2023. And if you see that this is familiar, this is a ginormous display of the Choisan, which is the same god as the earlier in the talk. And Lunar New Year is supposed to be the most auspicious and lucky time to gamble. So you're kind of expected to test your luck around this time. I really like gambling around this time, but you should give it a try. So other examples of Vegas hotels setting up things through the principles of good feng shui are hotels like the Wynn and its sister property, the Encore. It doesn't have the floors 40 to 49 because in Chinese, the word for, which is say, sounds like scarily close to death, which is say, and if you're gambling, you probably don't want to stay on the floors of death, but you do you. So some casinos put up ginormous displays and decorations during New Year. Some people just, move elevator buttons around, and some casinos change entire facades. Does anybody remember this? The old MGM facade? So this was incredibly bad feng shui, and Chinese gamblers didn't want to walk under the lion's mouth. It is essentially allowing a predator to consume your good qi. And this is now the current facade, so they changed it a whole bunch. Now there's no more lion eating your qi. But even though they've changed the facade, a lot of older folks still don't go to the MGM. My parents, they still run a lotto store, so I've been selling lottery tickets since I was 15. And I used to have old men come up to me being like, "Oh, you're going to Vegas? Don't go to the MGM. The lion will eat your qi." So these people have PTSD. Yeah. From losing money. So, next time you're about to go and gamble, here's some easy things you can do to attempt to protect and attract lucky qi. Wear red. Don't stay at this hotel either. But wear red. Wear red and gold. The more, the better. Dress for success. Don't stay on floors or any rooms with the number 4, because again, death. And then also don't stay on any rooms at the end of hallways because those rooms are essentially sponges for chaotic energy. Unless that's your vibe, you do you. And rooms with the number 8 is really, really lucky because the Chinese word for 8, which is bat, sounds like the word for fortune, which is fat. So have fun with that. Now finally, I want to wish everyone here happiness and prosperity. Because damn, we've had a really rough couple of years. So here's to everyone, man. Fucking gong hei fa choi for the year 2023.